Hey guys, it's your boy Holistic Health Harry, and this is a really important video, and probably one of the most important sincerely videos I'm ever going to make, because I'm going to share with you truths about people that have been very close to me and even best friends in the community, and stories and lessons of shadow, spiritual bypassing, emotional abuse, physical abuse from people within our communities of the so-called light workers. Because none of us are perfect, but what I don't like to see is when people think they can get away with abuse, emotional, physical. And yeah, the story needs to be told. And I've experienced it. It was my best friend and another of my good friends. And I have talked a bit about it on Facebook if you've been watching it, but people don't know the full story. And it's better to tell you, take the time to tell you exactly what I know, because I can't in a short Facebook post tell you all the things that I know about this situation, which is crazy. So another reason is some of you watch my YouTube, Facebook know that me and Lee Alkalise used to be very good friends. Now there's this massive falling out, and what's going on? I'm just going to share with you truthfully my side of the story, and all the facts I've shared are all truth, even though I've been accused of lying by the person I'm accused of. So Lee Alkalise, this is going to involve, and it's going to involve another good friend, or was good friend, Neil's Be Truthful affiliate. So, backstory. I think me and Lee met in 2018. 2018? I think it was 2018. I was in a phase where I was excited about urine, and I'd never met up with Facebook friends. So I went on a trip to America and started meeting my Facebook friends. And then Lee started talking to me, and I thought, let's go meet him. So I met him in 2018. I went to visit him, him and his partner, Anna, and we became friends. He invited me. We stayed there for, I think it was a week or two. I really liked his vibe. I recognized a very high vibration, extremely high vibration dude. And I saw that and I thought, wow, this is really cool. We're into the same stuff. I can learn from this dude. I've always been on the lookout for the guys that are, I think everyone should look for your same sex people that are a lot above you or a bit above you, those on your level, those below you. Those below you, I know I'm judging, but there's truths to everything here. Everyone starts at different vibrations. So yeah, you want to you want people below you can help, sincerely look up to you. People on a level that are equal, and they'll be really good friends for you. And the people above you sometimes can be good friends, sometimes. And I recognized that he was vibrationally, for whatever reason, above me. So I liked it, and we hanged out. So this was the summer of 2018, and it was very nice. Stayed with his mum, and he invited me to his place, his apartment, and yeah. And I saw him treat clients with urine, and yeah, it was the start. Meeting in the physical. We talked a bit online. We were friends then, but the physical meeting was the start of a good relationship, friendship between us, a very strong bond. Yeah. So that was the summer of 2018. I think in the Christmas around it was actually I met him in, was it 2017 or 18? Anyway, my last ever job was in 2000, last ever job that I don't want to do. I now do I make money doing what I love, was in summer 2018. And I got the idea then to write a book on aged urine, Discovery of the Century, my first book, still my most popular book. No one had written a book on aged urine. And what was I going to say? I went to visit him again in Christmas 2019. So I spent time with him in physical. We always were talking in between a line a lot. We were good friends. So I met him some 2018, spent 1-2 weeks with him and his mum and his girlfriend. Again, Christmas 2019, I went to visit him because he'd just been, sorry, let me get the story right. No, I want a backstory. Sorry, I'm muddling up my dates. Because I want to tell you something. I'll tell you a story. In 2018, the end of 2018, Lee was getting invited to go and treat a lady in Canada. This was the end, November, December. He was invited to treat a lady with serious issues in Canada that had supported his work and knew he was powerful and could help people on Facebook. So I think it was, yeah, it was a middle-aged lady in Canada. And at that moment, he was going through some issues with his partner, Anna, and he invited me to go with him to Canada and said, you know, Anna, I don't want to take her. Do you want to come? And honestly, my brain was so excited. At this point, I'd written no books. So let me make that clear. I'd written no books. I was making no income, not $1, 1 cent, 1 penny, doing what I love. The book idea was in my head, but it's sort of been written, but it was very slow. So it hadn't got out there yet. It's very slow. And yeah, Christmas 2019, he was saying, do you want to come? And basically what happened was he got my hopes up. And I say that in hindsight because what ended up happening, I said, yeah, I'll come with you. And I thought my heart was set on this. But what happened was he ended up taking his partner, which doesn't sound bad if you look at it one way. It's his partner and she's a lovely girl. She was a lovely girl. She is a lovely girl. But he got my hopes up a lot. And that hurt. It really hurt me. And I never recovered. It took me a few weeks to recover from the hurt of him. Just this opportunity that he was giving me a false hope. That's what I'm telling you. And then, yeah, his partner went and then I stayed behind. But in hindsight, God is always involved in light work of true light workers. And what happened was December, they went out to Canada. In January the 19th, my book, which by the way I wrote, I just started it before I got the offer from Lee to come up into Canada. It's not a very long book. It took me a few weeks. But as soon as I got left behind, I think that was to keep up the fun, the motivation from God. It's funny how God works to get that book out there. January the 19th, 21st, 2019, I released that book on Aged Urine. So from the disappointment and true heartbreak of my good friend getting my hopes up, I got that book out there. And that really helped me heal that letdown that I felt, the betrayal. Don't tell someone you want them as a backup. He didn't say that, but that's what he was saying, and that's what hurt. And, you know, just, oh, Anna's coming. Sorry. You know, but yeah, that helped. So that was my first book, and thank God it worked out like that, because that book continues to sell 1 copy every day for the rest of my life. And from people I first thought it was Facebook people, and now it's got way beyond that. It's got good reviews, and it's the only book on Aged Urine. So that was an important, from a higher aspect, that Lee let me down and hurt me, but it was the first hurt. Anyway, what am I going to say? Fast forward to summer of, I want to get the dates right, summer 2020. Now, COVID started in March 2020, and Lee had, from Canada, he'd gone to, where'd he gone to? I might get this wrong. So if someone like himself or knows him watches it, don't pick a dickle on the details, but he went to, I think it was Honduras. He went from Canada to Honduras to try and set up a retreat. And then I think he spent a long time there, a year and a half. And then he went from there to Portugal to work with a guy called Martin Kenny. So he'd been doing a lot of traveling. Now, after a year or two of traveling nonstop from Canada, he came back in December 2019. At this point, I'd written 4 books. I was beginning to really get on my path, start making monies, really building myself, doing my healing work. So when he came back in Christmas 2019, he said, do you want to come to the house? I was like, yeah, I'll spend time with you. He just split up at this point too, sadly, with Anna, his ex. That was sad to hear. And yeah, I spent time, I think it was a week or 2 again, with his mum and him at their house. Another good time. And that was in December 2019. So March 2020, not long after, was the COVID, which hit us all hard, hit me hard, hit him hard, hit all of us in the community and the world at large hard. And then it was building inside Lee's brain. He wants to get out of the UK, more than mine. More than mine. And he rang me one day at the end of June. It was the end of June 2020. And he said, Harry, I am going to Portugal and I need someone to go with me. Do you want to come? And then he said, if you don't come, I'll take somebody else. At this moment, not only was I starting to make a very small income with books, but I'd also start to make a much bigger income, not like millionaire. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. At this point, from March 2020, funny enough, during COVID, was it March 2020? Am I getting the dates up? No, from May 2020. And he rang me end of June with this offer. So a month before, I'd start to make some serious money with LifeWave patches, an affiliation with some good, powerful tech. I don't support them as much now because I affiliate with much more powerful, like Zen Cleanser and Root, much more powerful. But yes, they start to make me decent money. So I was in the headspace of a month of making this money, and I was like, yes, bro, let's do it. I'm ready. I remember where I was. I was in the garden, grounding, walking up and down, speaking on the phone. He goes, do you want to come to Portugal? I'm going. I need somebody. If you don't come, I'm going to ask for somebody else. In hindsight, the reason why I'm saying that is because no one really was ready to commit truthfully. And if Lee's watching this, he'll know that's true. No one was ready to commit. Niels was the closest, but he wasn't ready. I'm going to sneeze again, sorry. This is long, but this is worth it. And I'm going to get to the actual stuff that's gone on with spiritual bypassing, demons, and abuse, and narcissism, and denial of self, and all of it I'm going to get to. So I was ready, but in hindsight, like I said, I realized that he was just words, putting pressure. Like, oh, you've got to come. It's like the only offer. If you don't come, I'll take somebody else. And you feel like this loss. I looked up to him. He's a very high vibration dude. So I looked up to him naturally. But I was ready and I was happy. And I was like, yes, you know, I'm positive. I'm like, he's my friend. He's a good friend. And he said, we're going to build a project in Portugal. We're going to do this. We're going to have it set up. We're going to work hard at just me and you at first and build this epic garden with lots of fruit trees and nourish the ground and root it and do all this stuff in the cabin. Both our mutual friends he'd been in contact with had offered his cabin in Portugal, it was off grid in a beautiful location, we found out. So that was amazing. Jumped on the offer. They're excited. Got on the plane together from London. Okay, was even Wizz Air. And yeah, we got to Portugal and we was excited. We had quite a few acres. Correct me again if I'm wrong, but there was no work done on it. No fruit trees, nothing. It was ill-kept and not looked after for a year or so since the owner, who we knew had not been there, had been at least a year or something. So we started doing a lot of work on the land. And it wasn't like a holiday. And I didn't expect it to be a holiday. I knew it was going to have to be hard for us to do all this work. So yeah, every day was work. We get up, we tend to the garden. I'm obviously new at it. And Lee was very good and kind at, you know, just teaching me and being patient at first, you know, with letting me learn the ropes. I wasn't a gardener like him. He's a really good gardener. He's a really good gardener since a kid. So that was impressive. Yeah, and me and him did it in the hopes that we would set something amazing up, and then we could invite people, use my social media influence, use his social media influence, his good connector, I'm a good connector, we have different angles, the ways we connect, and yeah, it was exciting. But I can't remember when, it doesn't matter about time, but over time, when you spend a long time with someone, obviously you get to know him. So he got to know the real me, and I got to know the real him. And over time, and due to stress of what we were doing and the pressure that he put on both of us to get this project done, problems start arising in my motivation to help the project. Because what Lee Alkalise started to do, and I've since learned and seen, is his natural personality is he's very aggressive, and dare I say it, toxic in how he helps light workers, people that respect him and look up to him. Because what he does is he pushes you too hard. And the reason why is because he projects, we all project here, I project, and nobody's perfect. But he projects how he treated himself to get as high vibration as he did. He really went hardcore on himself, was very extreme, and almost you could say a little bit unhealthily, not in a loving self-love way, but you're gonna do this. Like, I can just imagine this was how Lee's done his journey, because that's how he treated me. And I'll get to a bit in it as we move forward, other people, and that's his style. So he's very aggressive. I don't mean he was never aggressive physically with me. At the time we spent in Portugal in the cabin doing the garden, all this stuff. I want to clarify that. It was never physical, but the abuse was mental, was like a mental torture. Made worse by the fact I spent every waking second in his company. For the entire 6 months I was there with him, I spent every second, bar the last 2 weeks, I'll get to that story in a bit, with him. So that's intense. It's like an intense relationship gone. It was intense for him, intense for me. There was no space created by me or by him, or an idea to create space so we can chill by ourselves. It was never thought of. And I was too in my mental suffering and feeling abused and feeling like I couldn't be myself, feeling like my self-esteem and confidence went down, because I knew my work was mental, emotional intelligence. And a lot of the time we were just doing gardening and things that were new and exciting, which are cool to do, but not 24/7, because it takes away your mastery. My mastery was being taken away. His not so much, because he's good at gardening, he's good at leading. But mine was taken away for people that followed me. So that's unfair. And anyway, after a few weeks, and definitely 2-3 months in, I was really finding it hard. Not to mention the fact I was teetotal, because I had massive alcohol issues in my life until 2012. 2012, I went teetotal. And then I broke teetotal because the Alkalise thought it would be a great idea for us to start drinking red wine in Porto when we arrived, which is cool, because maybe there is some benefits, like I said, to having a small amount of red wine. But then between the two of us and the stress of having to work so much gardening every day, just us two, and the pressure that he put on us for this project, which, by the way, in hindsight was pointless, because that project has vanished. Pointless pressure. And all that's left is emotions and feelings that I'm expressing to you of how he made me feel. Crazy. But yes, we started going from Porto wine once or twice to reaching a point, actually, after a few weeks together, where we both got drunk, and then he just got super angry with me and smashed his own laptop in my presence. I can't remember what I did. Oh, sorry. I was in a state of fear. And when I go in state of fear, there's fight or flight and there's freeze. And I froze. And then he smashed the laptop down. I froze. And he was like questioning me. Why can't you think? Why can't you say this? Why are you doing these mistakes? I mean, why? But I froze because of fear, because of what he does and his toxic. It was the alcohol too. Don't get me wrong. That amplified the Alkalise behavior. But it was the core of the Alkalise, which I'm going to get to, that doesn't accept you for what you are. And he's too toxic and too pushy, too overly masculine in how he wants the best for you. He does want the best for you, but he projects the way he did it, like being overly aggressive, like push through, smash through that shit, smash through it. No female compassion, just overly toxic, too forceful, masculine. And I'm going to get to a great story with Niels about this overly toxic, because the pattern repeats itself with people, and it's not just me treated like this. Anyway, so yeah, one time he did smash the laptop down and I froze, and I just remembered I couldn't think while he was saying, why do you do this? Why do you do that? That was a bad time. I think month 3 or 4 into the 6-month stay, I actually tried to run away. I've actually forgotten a lot of the intensity of the pressure, but I do remember every day was hard being around him, and it got worse and worse, culminated by the fact, not just in his toxic, overly masculine, you're gonna be this, you're gonna do that, you can't do this properly, and just wake up. Like, but it wasn't just that, it was the 24/7 around each other with literally no break. There was no break, no break, no break. I remember one time I went to the mountain the entire 6 months. The only time we got a break was the last 2 weeks when he went to go and see his girlfriend, who he never told me was his girlfriend. just another thing that I can talk about. It's just things I found out since we broke up is ridiculous. But I want to keep to the story. So I tried to run away on month 4. I literally got fed up, and we were in town together, and I just walked the other way, and I thought, fuck this shit. I don't want to do this anymore. And then what happens is the Alkalise is a very charming, like I said in a Facebook post, he's very charming and manipulative when he wants something. When he wants someone to help him, give him money, he's very manipulative. When he wants someone to work on his projects, he can be very manipulative. This is from his past that he still does now as a light worker. But anyway, what he does is he takes you on an emotional roller coaster. So when I wanted to run away, then his kind, nice side comes out. And because you look up to him, it makes you feel so good and warm. And then you start wondering why you want to leave in the first place. Or, not in my case, I wondered then, it made me think, I'll give this a go. I really should have walked away from him then when I tried the first time. I realise this now. This is in month 4. Anyway, in month 6, in December 2020, oh, sorry, let me back to a little bit because it's important. November, around the mid of November, 8th November, I can't remember when. Month 5, me and Lee is now telling us that Niels Be Truthful affiliate is going to come along, right? And Niels is a friend of mine and a friend of his that I'd met on a Vipassana retreat, and I liked him. He was a nice dude, so I was happy to see him. And we were both encouraging him to come. So he came in the mid-November, and also I was thinking that would take a little bit of pressure off me and the intensity of judgment that I felt pretty much 24/7. I just didn't feel I can be myself around him. I mean, I could talk forever about this. I don't want to make this too long, but I know it's going on long. The thing with Lee Alkalise is he knows a lot about a lot of things, and that's amazing. But there's a problem with that. Me, Niels, and other people, they're of a lower vibration or don't know as much. We also have light work journeys where we help other people. And when we're excited about things we've learnt, we want to share that with our friends. Lee Alkalise never wanted to listen to anything that I shared with him. And since I've seen Niels wants to share with him, or anyone, because Lee already knows the information. So Lee's of the character in nature, and in a way I get it, that if you already know the information, he doesn't really want to pretend that he's like, oh, well done, Harry, you just learnt this thing, and just shut up because he already knows it. He'll just tell you, to your face, I don't want to hear it. And he did that so many times with me and Niels, and everyone that knows the stuff that he knows, because he knows a lot more than us, admittedly, on loads of things. Not on self-awareness, though. In some regards, to self, you know. But anyway, he just tells you he doesn't want to listen to it. So over time, you learn, like I did, to shut up and not annoy him and don't say things that are exciting to you and share with your friend. So then what happens is you start feeling like you can't be yourself. You can't be your fucking self. And that was a huge problem with me, with Lee in Portugal. And ever since I've hanged around him for a long time, you feel like you can't be yourself. And it creates misery. Anyway, on month 6, Niels came on month 5. I thought, yes, the pressure's going to be taken off, and I'm excited. I like Niels. I'd met him before, 10-day Vipassana retreat. And then a few weeks afterwards, in December, Lee tells me and Niels that he's going to see a girl that I'd seriously fallen out with, called Pixie Rose. And she'd actually created a lot of trouble on Facebook for me, accusing me of things that I hadn't done, like deliberately hurting cats, chasing women with no shirt on, like a paedophile. She'd made these accusations of being a hypocrite light worker that just eats donuts and is really unhealthy, when she caught me eating some yum-yums and donuts. And she was going around and messaging everybody on my inbox. By the way, I just want to clarify, me and Pixie are friends now, and I want to tell her story with Lee Alkalise too, because Pixie has suffered serious abuse at the hands of Lee Alkalise as they were in some kind of intimate relationship. And she's also experienced the dark side of this Lee Alkalise. So me and her are friends now, we're cool. But at the time, she was messaging a lot of my friends with the same message that I'm a psychopath and all these things, and hurting cats deliberately. Anyway, so he said he was going to meet her in the south of Portugal. And I'd fallen out with her because I'd met her months before, and after this social media thing, I blocked her. And I was like, you go and see her, bro. Me and Niels will look after the place, but she ain't coming back. If she comes back here, I'm gone. So I told Lee. So Lee knew this. I didn't know that Lee and Pixie were having a relationship. For 2 years, over the phone and online, and cheating on his partner. I didn't know this. I found it out from Pixie afterwards. Which, by the way, make of that what you will, because on my side there's been accusations and just correctness that I have been with prostitutes in the past, and even semi-recently, which is, you know, I'm not perfect. However, I want to clarify that that was Lee Alkalise's idea in the first place, and I never would have done it if it wasn't for Lee Alkalise. Still, I done the act, right? However, I've never cheated on my partners. I've had two, and I never would. I'm not perfect. I would never cheat my partner with another lady for 2 years, and then lie to your friends, to me and Niels, and say, I'm just going to go and see her to help with the wife. He didn't tell me. He lied. He lied and said he's just going to see her. Didn't say he was in a relationship with her. And seeing each other. He's seeing Pixie behind his partner's back. That wasn't told. So anyway, he said he's going to see her for 2 weeks, and don't worry, Harry, she won't come back. So, all right. Cool. He went. Me and Niels got time to ourselves. Had a good time. No pressure from Lee. Enjoy ourselves. Then 1 week or 2 week, about December, beginning of December, Lee messaged us and says, I'm with Pixie, and Pixie is coming with me back to our place where you guys are at. As soon as that happened, I had a bad feeling in my gut, like I wanted to vomit. I told Niels. So first of all, if Pixie comes back here, I'm not staying. But second, and huge that too, thank God, I was getting fed up. Like I said, I felt intense pressure being around Lee Alkalise. Niels took it off because Niels was getting the same thing with his problems and issues, highlighted in a toxic way by Lee Alkalise too. So yeah, there was two things. Pixie coming, huge. And Lee just didn't want to be around there anymore. It was no good for my growth. My soul knew it was no good, so I left. Left. After 6 months of the project, Pixie came back. I'd gone 2 days before. Pixie and Niels and Lee Alkalise together. Right, I'm going to make this in a few parts because this is long, but this is the truth of Lightwork and Lee Alkalise being revealed to you. So we'll do this in stages.